We are back on another episode of Sports Talk with JWock, and if you like listening to me complaining about my favorite sport and how poorly it is run at the highest level, you have found yourself in the right place. So make sure to stay tuned to hear more. Once again, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Sports Talk with JWock. I'm your host, Jonah Walkenfoos, and if you haven't guessed by the intro, we're going to be talking about the NBA and how I think there are just a ton of mistakes made right now and how it's just kind of a mess right now, and should we be blaming Adam Silver for some of these problems? So let's get right into it. First off, by the way, get your popcorn, whatever. Like, this is going to be a ride. It's going to be a journey, but Adam Silver, what are you doing with the NBA? Okay, first off, let's talk about how the games never start on time. Like, are we not going to talk about how, like, for me, I am in the Mountain Time region, or zone, I guess you could say. Like, I'm a Bulls fan. A lot of the games are at 6 o'clock Mountain Time or, like, 7 Central Time or whatever. Anyways, they say 6 o'clock. But that is when the streaming starts. Like, why are we saying that tip-off is at 6 o'clock when the game doesn't even start at 6? Like, why don't you start the streaming earlier and start the game actually at the designated time the tip-off's supposed to be? Like, that's so frustrating to me because it's like I'm waiting all day. Maybe I come home from work or from school, and I'm excited to watch the Bulls play. And I'm like, okay, in a couple minutes they're going to be playing. At 6 o'clock, right? Nope. They end up playing at like 6:15 or 6:20. It's like, what's going on here? Like, I want to watch the game, but I can't because the game doesn't even start on time. First off, fix that, Adam Silver. I don't know how you do that. Like, start the streaming earlier and then have the tip-off actually at a designated time. Or if the game's going to start at 6:15, 6:20, say it's going to start at 6:15, 6:20, not at 6 o'clock. Like, I don't know. That's just frustrating to me. Maybe it's just me. I also think I have a whole list here, so I'm just going to get to some of them, the big points. But also, the NBA viewership this season overall has been at very low rates. Like, I think there are many reasons for this. Like, if we check ESPN, they are down right now 28% viewership for the NBA right now this season. That is pretty bad. Like, that is a significant percentage that has gone down from viewership. And, one thing Adam Silver went out and said, and he said, the start of the NBA season, this is not his quote, but he basically said this. He kind of blamed the election and the World Series, which the election makes sense. Like, a lot of people were paying attention to that. That was a very big thing going on in the United States, at least. And then the World Series, it's like the World Series is going on a lot of times at this time anyways. Like, that's not a good excuse. I get it. It's the Dodgers and all that, so they're a very popular team. But, like, does that really matter? Like, you could have done more to help advertise the NBA starting season. And here's one of my big issues with the NBA. Here we go. The high pricing that you have to pay to just watch games. I mean, I get it. Maybe some people live in that same state or whatever that a team plays. Like, I have family that lives in Wisconsin, so they could watch the Bucks games. But, like, for me, I live in Idaho. There's no pro sports team in Idaho. I mean, there's the Utah Jazz that are near and then the Portland Trail Blazers, but it's like there's none that are, like, near. So we have to pay a decent amount of money just to be able to watch our favorite teams play. And not just that. We live in a region where the Jazz, they are nearby, so any Jazz game is blacked out in our area unless we buy, like, a certain package for just Jazz games, which we're not going to do. So, like, if the Bulls play the Jazz, even if it's in Chicago, I can't even watch the game because it's blacked out. And what's sad is, too, is I have League Pass. I watch majority of the NBA games. I love watching them. Why can't I watch the Bulls game on League Pass even if they're playing the Jazz? I don't care if it's blacked out. It's League Pass. I get it if it's, like, local or something, but, like, if it's League Pass, I should be able to watch it, in my opinion. Like, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. I think the pricing for just the overall, like, streaming of NBA games is way too much. Like, we should not have to pay that much to watch NBA games, especially for people that don't live near a professional sports team. So that's just my opinion. I also think there are also just like in-game things that happen in the NBA that's just a mess. Like, and these need to be fixed, and they've been problems for years now. First off, stars are always injured. Are we not going to talk about how, like, everybody's always injured? I get it. Maybe that's not something Adam Silver can really fix, but, like, some of them are kind of iffy. Like, some stars are just sitting out. Like, that's just dumb to me. And I get it. You added that, 65 game rule where if you play 65 games, then you're eligible to be able to be in the mix for awards. But, like, it still isn't really doing much. Like, stars are still sitting out, and it's just causing low rates. Like, we're seeing, on ESPN, we see, like, let's say the Philadelphia 76ers versus, the Los Angeles Clippers. And normally it'd be like, healthy teams, that's a decent matchup, right? Well, Kawhi Leonard hasn't played all year. Joel Embiid has been iffy. Tyrese Maxey's been hurt. Paul George just got out for the rest of the season, which is a big blow for the 76ers. But, like, they're all injured. We don't want to watch a bunch of role players play against each other. Switch up the schedule. Maybe, let's say, like Philly, now that they have a couple of games maybe on ESPN, maybe switch it with a different team since Paul George is out for the rest of the season. Like, switch it up. Do something. Change it. Make it to be teams that we want to watch, not just the Lakers. We don't want to watch the Lakers on national TV all the time. Only Lakers fans want to watch the Lakers. I'm going to be brutally honest with you. Sorry, Lakers fans. No offense. So yeah, that's all that with just overall, like, injuries. Like, one of the rules they added a couple years ago, I think it was last year, the technical foul you get for flopping, excessive flopping. Is that even a thing anymore? Like, maybe I'm not paying attention enough, but is that even called anymore? Like, do they even exist? I remember they existed for, like, the first month of when they got added, but then after that, it's just like they don't even exist. Like, there's many players that are still flopping like crazy, and they're giving them the benefit of the doubt. The refs are giving them the foul calls. It's like look at Joel Embiid. This man's averaging double-digit free throws every single game, and I would say probably 7 or 8 of them should not count as free throws. They shouldn't even be a foul. Like, it should just be either play on or give him the flopping technical foul. That's just me. I don't know. The flopping tech thing, that's just kind of annoying. Like, how are you going to add a rule and not use it? Like, what's the point of even adding it? Maybe it's not a rule anymore. Maybe they just took it away because it was just useless. But I also feel like the game... Sorry, this is just a lot of information being added at you. I kind of just wanted to throw it out here this week. But the games are also very offensive-minded, not defensive. There's no defense in the NBA anymore. I mean, we're seeing teams score at all-time highs right now, like 120-plus points every single game for both teams. It's insane. I mean, we're seeing, like, I remember, like, at halftime, we're starting to see, like, 80-point performances, and that's normal now almost. It's insane how high-scoring games are, and that's just the lack of defense and also the refs not giving benefits of the doubts. And then, finally, I could take a deep breath, but here is my final, like, point that I want to get across of why the NBA is just an utter mess. An utter mess. The one that makes me the most upset, and it has to do with reffing, but it is the NBA announcing, like, either missed calls or no calls after the game is already decided, like the next day. So, for example, Julius Randle had hit a game winner earlier on this season against the Phoenix Suns. He hit a 3, boom, game over, Minnesota Timberwolves win, Suns go home, frustrated because they thought that Julius Randle should have been called for a push-off, which he should have been. But the NBA the next day decided or announced that Julius Randle should have been called for travel and it should have been Suns ball. Why say it the next day? Why say it anyways? Just keep it to yourself, okay? If you're not going to change the outcome, then don't say it. Like, there's no point of announcing, saying, oh, we made our mistakes, because it's like, oh, yes, we all make our mistakes, but, like, they do this all the time, and they never fix those mistakes. Okay, like, why would you like re-announce it, or why would you announce it when nothing can be changed? Or maybe you change it. You give the Suns the win, which wouldn't be fair. So obviously maybe you shouldn't change the outcome of the game, but like, just don't announce it. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear that. Oh, like if I was a Suns fan, I would be furious. I'd be like, are you serious? Like, why are you saying this now? Why didn't you do it during the game when it actually mattered? But that's my thoughts on how the NBA is just an uttermost mess right now. Let me know what you guys think down below. That is going to be the end of this episode of Sports Talk with JWock. And just to clarify, I still love the NBA. I still love basketball. I'm still going to watch it. It's just frustrating at times. And if I didn't care, I wouldn't be doing these episodes. So on like rants of the NBA. So yeah, that's going to be the end of this episode. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Sports Talk with JWock. I believe this is podcast 34, if I'm not mistaken. It has been a fun journey. We are getting closer and closer to Christmas time, to where I'm going to be doing more Christmas episodes. So make sure to stay tuned for that. Check me out on Instagram at sportstalkwith_JWock3. Check me out on TikTok at sportstalkwithjwalk. And then you could also check me out on Facebook. It's just Jonah Walkenfuss. You'll have to search up my actual name, and then it should have my logo there, so that you can check me out as well. Check me out on all of those. I'm not on Spotify anymore for now. Let me know down below if I should go back to Spotify, just so you guys can listen instead of having to see my face all the time. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. I will be doing a short episode next week, so stay tuned for that. I'll still be doing it, uploading at 8 a.m. I might do it on Thanksgiving Day, though, instead. So stay tuned for that. Check me out on Instagram. I'll be giving updates on that. But anyways, thank you for tuning into another episode. I hope you all have an amazing week. God bless.